Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our psychology unit for the month of August. We're talking about things that affect our minds and things that help us out with our thinking, with our emotions and stuff like that. And there are various ways to do that. Earlier in the month, we talked about comfort foods that give us some kind of physical comfort as well as emotional comfort. But here we're talking about playing a video game, a special kind of video game that has actually been out for many years and is called Tetris, or as you call it in Chinese, I think you call it Russian blocks or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a direct translation. We don't call it that, but I'm translating from Chinese there.
Ah, well, I don't play video games or these games that a lot of people play on their phones, but this one's so famous and so old, even I've heard of it. I have not played it, but now that I see how good it is for your brain, I might have to check into it. But yeah, we're describing it as sort of the addictive puzzle game that started it all off. So we're going to be talking about Tetris, the background of it, and why it might be really good for your mind.
When software engineer Alexei Pajitnov designed a puzzle game to test the Soviet Union's new Electronica 60 computers, he wasn't trying to start an international craze. But that's exactly what Tetris became. Since its launch in 1984, the game has had over 500 million official downloads and has been released over 60 times. So why can't we stop playing it? While other video games have been modified over the decades, Tetris's formula has remained the same. Players must correctly stack 7 randomly generated variations of 4 tiled blocks, officially called tetriminos, in unbroken lines before they pile up to the top of the screen. It's simple to play, but impossible to master. Though top Tetris players can keep playing for over 30 minutes, there's no completing the game. The tetriminos simply fall faster and faster until even the best player can't keep up. Ironically, this is what makes Tetris so addictive. The difficulty of taking on a challenge that can never be completed compels players to persist. Moreover, players get a small sense of fulfillment each time they clear an unbroken line of tiles. We all have a natural desire to create order out of chaos, Pajitnov explains. Tetris satisfies that desire on a very basic level. But Tetris provides more than just feelings of satisfaction. In 1991, Richard Heyer of the University of California scanned the brains of Tetris players and made a remarkable discovery. Playing the game trained players' brains to use energy more efficiently. Contemporary studies have suggested this might heighten players' capacities for reasoning and critical thinking. If that's true, playing Tetris is a habit you definitely don't need to kick.
Okay, guys, we're going to be talking about Tetris, the game you just can't drop. Sounds like the people who have played this find it hard to stop, that it's very addictive. So we've got a software engineer here whose name is Alexei Pajitnov. It sounds very Russian to me. Aha! Soviet Union, yes. He designed a puzzle game to test the Soviet Union's new Electronica 60 computers. He wasn't even trying to actually design a game, which is kind of fun. A lot of things that we have in the world are because the person behind it was actually trying to invent something else or discover something else. And lo and behold, or suddenly they came up with something wasn't their goal to discover or come up with, but it really is working out there in the real world. Well, this is true here. He was just trying to design a puzzle game so it could test their new computers. And Tetris was it. When you talk about a craze, it's something that is going on in the world. It doesn't have to be throughout the world. It could be just in one country. But a lot of people love it. A lot of people interested in it. It could be some clothing. There could be a craze in some sort of Crocs. Were they called Crocs? They're plastic shoes. Those became a craze for a while. They were not something I enjoyed. Yeah, there can be different crazes. It usually lasts a short period of time, and then people move on to the next craze.
Something that's really popular for a short amount of time. So indeed, he wasn't intending to start an international craze. I should say that there's kind of a pattern here when something happened and then you add a sentence at the end of it. So when he designed this puzzle game, he wasn't trying to start an international craze. I could also say, for example, when I said I loved you, I didn't mean I wanted to marry you. You could use this pattern in various places. But yeah, he designed this puzzle game to test their new computer, and he wasn't trying to start an international craze. That was not his intention, but that's exactly what Tetris became. It became an international craze, something that was very popular all over the world, and in this particular case, it's still going strong. Since its launch in 1984, the game has had over 500 million official downloads and has been released over 60 times. So I remember this game when I first came to Taiwan during the 1990s. There were various video game consoles in video game parlors where you could play this. I think you paid 10 NT or something, and then you could have yourself a game of Tetris. But now people can download them and play them on their PC or probably even on your smartphone.
Yeah, it says here, since its launch, and a launch is when something is officially released to the public for sale or so that they can see it. Since its launch in 1984, wow, that's a long time ago. The game has had over 500 million official downloads. When they see official downloads there, what they mean is some people are unofficially downloading them from other sites where they shouldn't be. But it's been released over 60 times. So they've had updated versions of this game over 60 times. That's crazy. So why can't we stop playing it? Yeah, that game has really had a long life, you could say.
It's very addictive. We all get hooked on it. I've played it before. I'm not very good at it. My reaction time is pretty slow. But my daughter is actually quite good at it. And she was playing it online, and you can play it against other people at the same time.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fun.
There, you can see the other person on the right side of the screen, and yours is on the left. You get the idea. So yeah, why can't we stop playing it? Why is it so addictive? Well, here in the next paragraph it says, while other video games have been modified over the decades, Tetris's formula has remained the same. So you've got various other video games that have come out, and then people kind of play them and get bored of them, and so they kind of modify those video games. Like I remember when Pac-Man first came out many years ago.
Yeah.
They later modified it into Mrs. Pac-Man or something like that, or Super Pac-Man. There were other modifications, but Tetris is pretty much the same. It hasn't changed. You just got that grid and those blocks falling down, and you're supposed to push the buttons in order to fit them into the grid.
That's right. So here's how you play it. Players must correctly stack 7 randomly generated variations of 4 tiled blocks, officially called tetriminos. Isn't that how we're saying it? Tetriminos?
Tetriminos. Yeah, because it sounds like dominoes.
Yeah. That's what we thought. So if you stack something, guys, you put one thing on top of the other. So, for example, you can use it as a measure word too. For example, a stack of books. I have a stack of books on my desk that I need to get read before next semester. We wouldn't use stack for clothes, though, if you have a stack of clothes on the floor.
No.
We would use a pile of clothes. You could have a stack of money. If you have a ton of money, I have a stack of money that I need to take to the bank to deposit. Those could be bills that you want to take to the bank. And a stack of pancakes. For breakfast, we often will eat pancakes, and we call, several of the pancakes a stack of pancakes.
Right, I think they're short stack and tall stack or something. A short stack is like 2 pancakes, maybe. A tall stack is 3. I'm not quite sure.
Here, stack, though, Tom, is being used as a verb.
Indeed. Here we're saying you have to correctly stack those blocks. Actually, here we're calling them randomly generated variations of 4-tiled blocks. Okay, so there's the block there. You've got blocks that have 4 parts to them. It might be straight, it might be a square, it might be, it's hard to describe, but in any case, there are different variations of those blocks there. We're saying there are 7 of them, and they come out randomly. You just don't know what's going to be next. Sometimes you play games where they shoot bullets at you randomly. Again, you don't really know where they're going to come from. There's no recognizable pattern. You could also say at random. They fall at random, and then you're supposed to figure out what to do with those 4-tiled blocks. You push the buttons left and right, and it rotates the block those directions, and then you push the space bar or whatever, and it falls down into the grid.
Yeah, and here we're talking about these blocks, these 4-tiled blocks being randomly generated variations. Generate just means to produce. So a variation of something is one thing that isn't quite the same, but it comes from the same idea, I guess. For example, let me use an example. It's easier. You guys have a lot of different delicious kinds of beef noodle soup, right? But every restaurant has their own variation. They might have the hong xiao, or they might have, what's the other one's called? Something dun? I can't remember. But it's not as spicy. But okay. I prefer the spicy. That's why I don't remember what the other one's called. But there are lots of different variations of the same dish. Or maybe a chocolate chip cookie. There are so many different variations of that recipe as well. Well, these are randomly generated variations of 4-tiled blocks. Like we said, they're called tetriminos, and they come out in unbroken lines before they pile up to the top of the screen. So here we've got pile being used as a verb too, to pile up to the top of the screen. You can pile on someone if someone's getting abused or teased. Sometimes you'll hear us say in kind of a slang kind of way, hey, quit piling on him, or quit piling on her, meaning, enough people are teasing her. You don't need to join in. But to pile just means, of course, to stack on top of something else. But we use pile differently than stack. Pile is less square looking, for a pile of clothes, right?
Yeah.
Or there's a pile of dirt outside the house that we need to get rid of.
Yeah, I think of stacking as being like flat objects or solid objects on top of each other.
Yeah.
Whereas piling things up means they're kind of loose and you don't really
group.
know where the top or bottom is.
Yeah.
So that would be clothing. So in any case here, yes, the blocks there pile up. And then, of course, if they manage to pile up to the top of the screen, you've lost. And that brings us to the halfway point in today's lesson. Let's take a break now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
大家好，我是 Ollie， 现在要进行第9单元的中文讲解。这篇文章介绍了一款历久不衰的经典游戏——俄罗斯方块。文章第一段说明，俄罗斯方块是一名软体工程师为了测试新型电脑时所诞生的产物。接下来我们看到第一题，这一题应该要填名词，放在所有格 its 后面。空格这一句以现在完成式说明俄罗斯方块截至目前的下载量已超过5亿次之多，证明了上一句俄罗斯方块真的是风靡全球。而 since 在本句表示自从的意思，后面要接过去的时间点，所以我们可以推知起始的时间应该是俄罗斯方块推出的时候，所以答案选 L launch。文章第二段说明俄罗斯方块的游戏规则。我们来看第二题，这个空格应该要填形容词或分词，放在 be 动词并之后，作为这一句的主词补语。 这一句开头的 while 是虽然的意思，将俄罗斯方块与其他电玩对比。这一句的后半部分说明俄罗斯方块的方程式保持不变，表示其他电玩历经几番修改，所以答案选 K modified。接着我们先来看到这一段第二句用到的 four-tiled， 这是数字加上名词 ed 的复合形容词用法，表示是4个砖的。接下来我们看到第3题，这一题应该要填复数动词或复数动词片语，搭配主词 they作为这句的动词。从前后句可以判断出时态为现在简单式。这一句说明俄罗斯方块的玩法。答题的关键就是主要子句的动词 stack， 说明这款游戏的重点是正确堆叠随机生成的积木。由此可知，要在积木堆积到萤幕顶端前把它们消除，所以答案就选 B pile up。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue to talk about Tetris and why it is so addictive. But where we left off, we were talking about how the game is played. And you all pretty much know this, but you've got 7 randomly generated variations of 4-tiled blocks. And they come out at random and they fall down, and you're supposed to move them around and stack them at the bottom. But if they pile up to the top, then you've lost. That's the basic gist of the game, and it's simple to play but impossible to master. So yeah, once you get the hang of it, you can play it, but you can't really ever master it, okay? You're always going to lose at some point. Though top Tetris players can keep playing for over 30 minutes, there's no completing the game. So yeah, if you're really good at it, you can probably play for over 30 minutes. And based on my own experience, that sounds like a really long time.
Oh, really?
I was lucky if I could make it for 5 minutes or whatever because it starts speeding up so fast and you just can't keep up. This is really good if you can get over 30 minutes. But forget it if you want to get up to an hour or something. No one is that good enough. So that's why we're saying it's impossible to master.
Yeah, 10 minutes doesn't sound like a very long game. But if they're going to keep speeding up, I'm not sure anyone could ever win, and that's what they tell us here. But some of the top players can keep playing for over 30 minutes. We use the preposition for in front of a length of time that we're talking about. So I'm staying in Taiwan for 5 days, okay? But yeah, this is interesting. The tetriminos simply fall faster and faster. So ironically, this is the next paragraph. Ironically, this is what makes Tetris so addictive. The difficulty of taking on a challenge that can never be completed compels players to persist. Ironically, it's kind of interesting, kind of funny that that's what would make it so addictive. The fact that you can't do very well at it. Because most games are popular because, you know, people feel like they can compete and be successful, right? Here's a game you can't. You can't ever really feel successful. You'll never beat the game itself. You can just keep, I guess, adding on to the time that you can play it. But that is ironic. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of funny. It's kind of not in a ha-ha way, as we say with ironic. Ironic is it's difficult to explain that here, especially in Taiwan. I don't feel like people are as sarcastic as we are in America.
Yeah, sometimes they can't tell the difference between sarcasm and irony. Sarcasm is like, oh, yeah, it's really nice that you showed up. Yeah, you should have got here earlier or something. You say the opposite in that sort of tone of voice to mean something else. But ironic just means it's not what you expected. And so, yes, this is what makes Tetris so addictive. It's an irony here because they fall faster and faster and you lose. So you'd think people would say, I don't want to play this game. You can never win. again.
Yeah.
But ironically, that's why it's so addictive. It compels players to persist. Here we've got the verb to compel, which means it kind of really forces you to do something and you don't have much of a choice. I could say, for example, a sense of guilt compelled me to tell the boss the truth that I stole the money. I just felt so guilty, so I was compelled to tell the boss the truth, and then I got fired.
Ooh.
For an example, yeah.
Yeah, and if you persist in something, guys, you don't give up. You keep at it until you are successful. You need a lot of persistence. That's the noun form of this word. If you really want to be successful in life, people who give up too easily really don't find success in this world. You have to persist and not be too afraid to keep going, even though times are hard sometimes. So moreover, it says, players get a small sense of fulfillment each time they clear an unbroken line of tiles. Interesting how little it takes to make players of Tetris happy. Just getting an unbroken line of tiles makes the players feel like they've been successful. And Tom told me this while we were on the break, that, just getting that one line there feels good.
Yeah, it feels satisfactory or satisfying, and it feels gratifying. That's another similar word you could use when you clear an unbroken line of tiles. And this is what Pajitnov himself explained. We all have a natural desire to create order out of chaos. Yes, if you're piling up all those blocks, it gets quite chaotic without any order. So we all want to make it in order, okay? So we have this desire to create order out of chaos. I think Nietzsche once said, out of chaos comes order. And that's what he said. And Tetris satisfies the desire on a very basic level, which it does.
So, but it also says here, but Tetris provides more than just feelings of satisfaction. And here's where we're going to talk about what kind of things it does to your brain, which was really interesting to me when I read this earlier. Now, satisfaction, Tom was just talking about this. It just is a feeling that you've had your wishes fulfilled, that you've had your expectations granted. There's pleasure that comes to you. So if you are feeling satisfaction, satisfaction is the noun, satisfied is the adjective. To satisfy someone else's expectations, you could also use it as a verb. So in 1991, Richard Heyer of the University of California scanned the brains of Tetris players and made a remarkable discovery. If something's remarkable, you want to remark on it or you want to say something about it. It could be bad, it could be good. Remarkable itself doesn't tell you whether it's good or bad, but it's worthy of paying attention to, and people want to have others notice it.
Yeah, you were able to figure out that puzzle? That's remarkable. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. So he made this remarkable discovery. Playing the game trained players' brains to use energy more efficiently. So that's pretty cool there. If you play this game, you can use energy more efficiently. You won't waste so much energy. And contemporary studies have suggested this might heighten players' capacities for reasoning and critical thinking. So these are contemporary studies, modern studies, more up-to-date studies.
And your capacity for something is just the amount or the maximum amount that you can actually contain something, a capacity. We often use capacity when we're talking about containers, right? How much something can hold. Here, your capacity to do something is kind of your ability or your power to do something based on understanding something or maybe some experience that you've had. So it can help your critical thinking and reasoning, which is awesome. I think we should give this game to the senior citizens out there. I think this could help them keep their brains active. So, yeah, this is something you might want to look into if you want to improve your reasoning and critical thinking ability.
Yep, and if that's true, playing Tetris is a habit you definitely don't need to kick. Sometimes we talk about kicking a habit.
Kick a bad habit.
Yeah, if you want to say, hey, Tom, would you like to have a cigarette? No, I kicked the habit. I quit smoking. I don't smoke anymore, for example.
Good.
So this, however, is a habit you don't need to kick because it's actually good for your brain and you might actually live longer as a result. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation. Let's listen to our Chinese teacher is playing Tetris now. Stop playing now because you need to explain some things.
接着看到第4题，这个空格应该要填原形动词或原形动词片语，放在 to 后面形成不定词。这一句的前半部分指出玩俄罗斯方块很简单，后面用 but 来转折语气，而且空格下一句又说明不可能完成这个游戏，所以答案就选 F Master， 表示这款游戏虽然很容易上手，但想要精通却不太可能。我们来看到第5题，这个空格应该要填原形动词或原形动词片语，放在助动词 can't 后面，作为这句的动词。这一句补充说明不可能完成俄罗斯方块的原因，因为方块下降的速度会越来越快，我们就可以推测说速度会快到连最厉害的玩家也跟不上，所以答案就选 G keep up。文章第3段说明俄罗斯方块为什么会让人想要一直玩下去。接下来我们看到第6题，第6题可以放形容词或分词，由副词 so 来修饰。空格下一句说明永远无法完成的挑战会迫使玩家一直坚持下去，而且这一句的开头 ironically 也就是讽刺的是，由此可知虽然无法完成，但可能因此让人更想玩，所以答案选 A addictive， 表示这就是俄罗斯方块使人玩上瘾的原因。接着看到第7题，这个空格应该要填名词，作为介系词 of 的受词。第7题的后面一句引用了软体工程师的话，说明建立秩序是人类的天性，而俄罗斯方块满足了这个欲望。可推知，玩家每清除一列时都会得到一点成就感，所以答案选 J fulfillment。文章最后一段说明俄罗斯方块带来的不仅是满足感，以及证实了这点的一项研究。我们来看到这一段第一句的单字 satisfaction 满足，满足感就是 a sense of satisfaction， 而如果要表达令某人满意的事，就可以说 to one's satisfaction。 To her mother's satisfaction, Grace did all of her chores without being asked。 令格雷斯妈妈满意的是，格雷斯没有被要求就做了所有的家事。接下来我们看到第8题，这一题应该要填过去式的动词，作为这句的动词，搭配过去的时间，在西元1991年。空格本句指出一所大学有项发现，空格后面一句说明了研究的结果，也就是玩俄罗斯方块可以训练玩家的大脑，所以我们可以推知该研究扫描了玩家的脑，才得以进行这样的分析，所以答案选 D scanned。 接着看到第9题，这个空格可以填原形动词，放在助动词 might 后面，作为这句的动词。这一句呼应了最后一段的第一句，以当代研究证明了玩俄罗斯方块不仅能让人有成就感，还可以有效地提高大脑的工作效率，所以我们就可以推测这也可能提高玩家的推理和批判性思考能力，所以答案就选 E heighten。 我们来看到第10题，这一题应该要填原形动词，放在 to 后面形成不定词。这一句进行总结，说明如果玩俄罗斯方块就像前面提到的，不仅对大脑有益，而且还能增进推理和批判性思考的能力，可推知我们便不需要戒掉玩俄罗斯方块的习惯，所以答案选 H kick。 今天的讲解就到这边，谢谢收听。
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. And do enjoy playing Tetris. It's good for your brain, but too much of a good thing can be bad, so know your limits. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.